It's the difference between a factory vehicle and one that's aftermarket.
This is why Jeep didn't want us to come drive it. Because they knew that we already had one with the proper transmission and two-wheel drive, not full-time four-wheel. So Jeep probably didn't want us to drive it because
they didn't want us to compare it to ours.
They didn't want us to compare it to ours and poop on this one a little bit.
Anyways, guys, a 392 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. What's up, Brite Nation?
Hey, what's up, guys?
So in the last video, we left you hanging a little bit, not intentionally, but on this Jeep build, the Jeep JKU behind us, because we were waiting on one more thing, and that was the sliders, which were basically impossible to get. But they've finally come in, and just in the nick of time, because Kevin and I are about to leave for my family reunion.
House party.
No.
House party in the daycare. House party in the daycare.
We are, you know, I was literally about to say that we're gonna leave the daycare center in Chris's very trustworthy hands, and now I'm hesitant to say that. No house parties.
Rager.
Even worse. Anyways, the good news is this is gonna be the final installment on this Jeep build right here, because we finally got the last piece to our puzzle. Which are these sliders made by Let's Roll Off-Road, L-E-T-Z. Now I have to give them a massive shout out because they were the only frame welded slider manufacturer that was able to get these to us ASAP. Everyone else that we tried to contact were weeks out on product.
Yeah, and this guy's going straight to the Rubicon. That's why he brought it to us. 37s, the Dirty Lives, the Terraflex 4-inch long arms.
And a lot of people were like, well, just make your own sliders or build your own sliders. Guys, we don't have the time. We got to get this bad boy back to the owner ASAP so that he can go enjoy the Rubicon Trail. So again, Let's Roll Sliders, thank you so much, because otherwise this would have been a disaster.
Yeah, go check them out. They actually make super cool bumpers too, and they're coming out with all new products all the time. So these turned out to be perfect for the customer because what he kept sending me were very thinly made sliders that were more steps, because he's not very young and sprightly. You're young though. You're not old.
Kevin over here just insulting our friends and customers and subscribers. He was looking for something that was more step than rock slider. These are kind of an in-between.
Right, and so he kept sending me these, and I'm like, dude, those are too thin of metal. When you hit them, they're gonna be like your old sliders. They're just gonna crush. You need something like this. And everything I looked at, most sliders are more just sliders and not a step. So this is really perfect. So here you can see we're gonna actually have to notch out the pinch weld, and this is gonna tuck all the way high and tight to where this comes right to the bottom of the rocker, and then this guy will be out just enough to
act as sort of a step.
Sort of a step.
Now with that being said, we're gonna let Chris here actually get to work without us present bothering him in the shot, and by us I mean without Kevin present bothering him in the shot.
He's so happy.
Because we have somewhere very important to be. But before we do that, we also want to show you something else. Okay, so now while Chris finishes up with the entire Jeep build, the sliders and all of that, we have somewhere very important to be, aka my family reunion, which we have every summer down in South Texas.
Every year. Who has a family reunion every year?
We do, because my family is awesome. But since the Jeep, the stepchild, has been down for like a month or two now,
and it still needs work that Chris is gonna be working on, I got super tired of not having a Hemi Jeep to drive around. So we're going to the family reunion in a little bit of style.
Say hello to our brand new 392 Jeep Rubicon. I don't know why they're on it.
That was so dork. For real though, check this thing out. You know my favorite button is that exhaust button. Listen. Doesn't let you go past 3,500 in park.
Even has that little burble.
Yeah, it sounds good. So it also has paddle shifters.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've been asking for that from like Taser, for Taser JL to come up with paddle shifter deal. So now that they have it in the OEM Jeep, I'm wondering if we can
swap it
over.
onto our JL.
I like the steering wheel too. I kind of want to buy the steering wheel for our Jeep too.
Is it shaped differently?
It just has like soft leather here and then like kind of perforated here and then soft down here.
Now, if you're wondering why it sounds as though this is the very first time we've ever seen a 392 in person or had the ability to get in and start it and maybe even drive it, well, that's because it is the very first time that we have, because Jeep didn't invite us like they did a bunch of other people to see it at Easter Jeep Safari.
Drive it. Other people got to drive it.
We never even got to see it. So it's fine though. It's fine. No big deal, because Ford let us get a first-hand look at the Ford Bronco and take it wheeling with Lauren Healing, and that video is way over 1 million views, so no big deal. Anyways, with that being said, it is officially vacation time for us. Kidding you guys, this is not our 392 Jeep Wrangler. However, we do want you to come along for a test drive. So huge shout out to Joe for letting us check out his 392 Rubicon while he was in town. But this thing is pretty nice.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, this is first time driving one of these, but it's way more compliant. Like the suspension feels good, and I don't know if it's from the extra weight, and it just kind of feels, I don't know, it's not as stiff. I like it, but we're still in the neighborhood and I haven't gone over 30, so.
We haven't taken it off-road. Although he did take it off-road this morning in Sand Hollow State Park, and he said it was pretty comfortable.
It's all stock. He just picked it up. He just bought it. It's got 2,000 miles on it. So it doesn't, since it's a factory tune, it's kind of, it seems more tame than my vehicle, because this.
Oh yeah, by a lot.
So ours has the Ruby transfer case, and it's set up like a normal Jeep where it's just rear-wheel drive unless I put it in 4. If you look here, there is no 2 high. They only have a 4 high auto, 4 high part-time, neutral, and a 4 low. So you're always in 4-wheel drive. So there's more things turning.
More wear and tear on components that generally wouldn't see that wear and tear with just a 2-wheel drive or 2 high. And
if you look at the front, it actually has front CVs instead of U-joints, because it's more set up as like it's a part-time 4-wheel drive. It's not all-wheel drive, but it's set up like that. So I don't think it's going to take the abuse that a normal Wrangler Rubicon
longevity wise,
because the front CVs are not going to be as strong. I mean, so that's from for a Jeep and for a factory Jeep. Yeah, for factory Wrangler.
That's hella impressive. It's not quite as throw you in your seat is our Hemi Jeep.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say.
But our Hemi Jeep's also on 40s and 1-tons and still throws you back a little more. Yeah, so ours is tuned a lot higher than this is, though.
It must be, because my Jeep, when I hit it, it stands up off the ground, and it goes.
It lifts like another 6 inches when you throttle into it.
Maybe like 2 or 3, but we'll
no, definitely way more.
I'm glad you think 2
or
3 inches. I'm glad you think 2 or 3 inches is 6, though.
That's why I married him. It gets it.
It feels really good. It feels really good.
It gets it.
Yeah.
And it's factory. It's from the factory, which means it comes with all the things that a lot of JL owners seem to care about, stuff like warranty and probably fuel economy and those things.
I really, really want to race one of these in my Jeep with 40s and beadlocks and everything, just to see. Also, I want to race this against the new Bronco. It's a 2.7. Ours is a 2.7 turbo.
Oh my God.
But I'm pretty sure this will edge it out, but with a tune, you can't really tune this too much. No. You can only get a little bit of power out of this.
A turbo
but when you tune a turbo engine, I bet you with a tune, intake, and exhaust on the Bronco would give this a run for its money.
We'll figure out a way. When we get our Bronco, and of course once the stepchild is back up on its feet, so to speak, we are absolutely going to do a 3-way drag race at some point. We'll find, whether he's in town or not, we can use this exact one, or we'll find someone else who has a 392 Wrangler. We will absolutely do a 3-way drag race between the stepchild, a factory 392, and a Ford Bronco, because I agree, I think that would be hella rad.
All right, we'll do a little launch here. Brakes, gas, load it up, and go.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, Jeep. Okay.
It
From
feels.
the start, you can feel the torque a lot more right there.
I felt really good.
Yeah.
You can feel the power though, where it doesn't just go wham wham. It's like it's. You can hear it in the exhaust.
All the torque off the line.
Right. There's got to be some torque management in here. So, and then you can tell that the transmission is a little on the lazy side on the shift, so they're not crisp. So here's the thing: it still has the same transmission, but it's putting out a lot more power. So they have to torque manage in between those shifts. So instead of like our Supra, which has the same ZF8 HP 50, or ours is a 51 in the Supra, basically the same exact trans. In the Supra, it's whop, 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 whop. It just bangs through the gears. You'd almost think it was a DCT trans, but it's not. It's a ZF8 HP 51. This is a ZF8 HP 50, pretty much identical trans. But the major difference is that this weighs a heck of a lot more
than the Supra.
Yeah, so the Supra weighs less but makes way more power. The Supra makes 650 wheel horsepower, 650 wheel torque to the wheels, not the engine. So that thing's making well over 750 horsepower, and it still bangs through the gears. You have this big motor, and then you still have these lazy shifts. You have instead of whop 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 and just hitting the gear. I'm just not a fan of the shifting when it comes to a performance engine with a lazy transmission. I mean, it's very nice. I do like it. It would not be my choice. Like if I was going to buy another Jeep right now, it would not be my choice.
Okay, so real question. If you had to pick between this, the factory 392, and a JL with like an America's Most Wanted Hemi swap, 6.4 Hemi swap, which would you pick? Which would you rather?
I like the simplicity of being able to just get in this and go, and it being all factory from Jeep because they know their stuff. Yeah. But the America's Most Wanted, I would take hands down. I don't want the full-time four-wheel drive. Yeah. I don't want the front CVs, which I could change. You could change the transfer case. You could change the front axles, which we did anyway. But then why?
It's personal preference, I guess. But let's put it this way: for those of you who thought we actually had bought a 392.
I would never.
We would never trade the stepchild with the 6.4 AMW Hemi for this.
No, and I would never even pick this up for as like a daily or anything. Like, it's very nice, and it suits some people.
Yes.
People that are going to do a little off-roading but want to drive it and want the power and everything.
And it sounds good.
And it sounds good. It sounds really good, but I wouldn't do it.
It's the difference between a factory vehicle and one that's aftermarket.
This is why Jeep didn't want us to come drive it, because they knew that we already had one with a proper transmission and two-wheel drive, not full-time four-wheel. So Jeep probably didn't want us to drive it because
they didn't want us to compare it to ours.
They didn't want us to compare it to ours and poop on this one a little bit.
We're not pooping. It's a great vehicle, but when you've been spoiled with the stepchild like we have,
I wouldn't buy it. But
anyways, guys, a 392 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye. No rangers.
Okay.
Oh, I thought they'd never leave. Alright guys, we're getting these sliders prepped to weld them onto this frame, and a couple things I just want to point out real quick. You gotta grind all the paint off, or the powder coating, obviously. But what you gotta remember is you got paint or powder coating in here. You gotta get this out of here. You'll start welding and the heat and the penetration will come in and melt this powder coating or this paint, and it'll come out and cause contamination or porosity, and you won't get a good weld and it'll spit and sputter at you. This is why, because you have powder coating in this too. Same on the frame. We had to get in here with a grinder and get all the powder coating out of these nooks and crannies. Prep is key. So we're gonna use this little flapper barrel sander guy. I don't even know where I got this. It's just a barrel flapper. We're gonna clean out the inside of those holes. So let's go. Now we're gonna use my least favorite tool and clean the little gaps in the frame. You guys are kind of in the way. I gotta move you. So we'll come back. So ultimately, I ended up putting the burr bit on the little 90 so that I can get it under the body and into that crack and clean it all out. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see in there, but I had to use this guy and get down in there and clean all that powder coating out of that little hole so that we don't get any contamination in the weld. So the last bit before we get these things welded on is I wanted to cover this hole. The one arm sits right over this hole. So made a little puck. Now we're just gonna fill it. All right, so I was just about to weld these on and I see that little 10mm guy that holds on that fender, that if I was to weld this guy up in front of it, there's no way you'd be able to take the fender off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that bolt out, we're gonna spin it around and run it in the other way and put a nut on this side. So you can still squeeze a wrench in here to get the nut off so that you can still pull this fender off without having to cut off the sliders, because that would just be ridiculous. So we're just gonna flip that around real quick and tack these up. All right, so here we go. We got them guys welded on. That's a left-handed and a right-handed weld. Uphill, both ways, in the snow. It used to be a hole right here. Now it's gone. And then that one. And then that guy over there. And then that's that double nut I was talking about. We just ran the bolt in backwards and put a nut on the front of it, so in the future you can get the fender off without cutting off the rock slider. Rinse and repeat. So last night I didn't quite get the other one welded on, but I have the other rock slider all fitted up. So we're gonna go in here today and weld this last rock slider on, fill it with fluid, take it for a test drive.
My thoughts have never been clearer. I see what you're doing to me now.
Welders are contortionists. Oh, yoga! Welder yoga, new thing.
I probably knew this. I think I will be holding on to the one thing that I know is stronger. Love is blind and no one's perfect. Platinum seems so shallow, 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 shallow. But you are bright white gold.
So there's only one thing left to do. Let's see how good she flexes. See what she measures out to. What is that, like 33 7/8? 33 7/8. Not too shabby. Tires tucking in the stock fenders. Look at that. Look at that, right on that bump. Remove before flight. All right, and that's a wrap on today's video. Please remember to like and subscribe, tell your friends, and you can get all of your Lite Brite merch on litebritstudios.com. And now you can get the stickers too. Thanks for watching. See you later. So today, we got Ryan, needed a little bit more work done, so we brought his Jeep back up so we can flex it out. About 32.5 inches. Not bad. So unlike Kevin and Brittany, this guy's not cheating. He's a 28 PSI in the tires, and he's also on an anti-rock sway bar. So it's limiting a couple of inches, but not 7 like Kevin's.
So he was talking about me not cheating like Kevin, but I'm like, you know what, I want to cheat too. So now we're gonna air it down, we're gonna try it again.
And this is the result. Put that back tire back on the ground. So from 32.5, good lord, 36.5, that's like 4 inches. Not bad.
Yeah,
Now I'm impressed.
cheating works.
Okay guys, we got her up in the air. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Oh, it's so hard by yourself. Survey says, oh my gosh, this is really impossible. There she is. Now I gotta get it down. Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say, but I'll figure something. Hold on.